Hi everyone, my name's Nanechi. For those of you that don't know me, I am from Oakland, California. I currently attend San Diego State. I am a junior studying public health with a minor in psychology. Um, this is the this is the first time I've done something like this before. Um, I'm just ending final exams. My last final was yesterday, and I turned 21 last week. And this is the last month of the year 2019, and we're heading into a new decade. And a lot has happened, a lot has gone on in my life, not just with academics, but with my faith and relationships and just a whole bunch of other stuff. And for a while now, God has put this calling in me, in my heart, to talk about some things that I've gone through, to send an encouraging word to other people. So I am like insanely nervous. I honestly don't really have a plan for what I'm going to say, but I've prayed and meditated about this, and I've thought it over multiple times. I've just asked for signs, asked for God's guidance, and I truly believe that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be right now. So that's really all that there is to it. And, I hope y'all continue watching till the very end. And if you see me looking down, I said I didn't have a plan. I kind of do. It's just not fully detailed because I don't want to get totally off track. So I want to just start talking about how I was when I was young. When I was a little girl, for as long as I can remember, I have been bullied for a number of reasons, that I didn't understand at first. But I mean, when you're a child, you're so free. You're not aware of what insecurities are. You're not aware of being hurt to the point where you want to hurt other people. But at a young age, I experienced that a lot. I was the girl that always raised her hand. I always had the answer for everything, and people called me Little Miss Perfect. I've been called a teacher's pet. I was that student, okay? And a lot of people like resented me for that, and I got bullied for it. There wasn't a time where I don't remember feeling like I was like everyone else, if that makes sense. I have always felt different, and because I was bullied, I was made to feel like being different was bad. So I just had this desire to fit in with other people. I hated being unique. I hated being smart. So, because I just hated standing out. Fast forward to middle school, and the same thing that I'm going through, just feeling left out of friend groups. I never really felt like I fit in with anyone, and I would try to. And even when I was in cliques, I still felt like an outcast. And so my insecurities grew. I internalized everything, and I started feeling like there was something wrong with me. So from that moment on, I would say since middle school, I just started being more quiet. Didn't really answer questions in class anymore. I just stayed in the shadows, and I think being shy is just how I am naturally, but a huge part of why I just stopped being so outspoken is because I just didn't want people to have something to say about me. I just became afraid of people. And so I just thought to myself, if I just don't say anything, then people won't look at me, people won't think any sort of way about me, and I'll be safe. In high school, of course, that intensifies even more. I started getting a clear view of who was popular and who was not. I wasn't one of those popular girls. So high school was very difficult for me for a number of reasons. I was really one of the only black girls in the honors and AP courses. I just never felt like I was good enough. People were getting A's so easily, and it was so hard for me to just do well in school. And especially in high school, you start to put your value in the grades that you get, the scores that you get on AP exams, and all these other different things. And so my identity became tied to my grades. And I think because I grew up being insecure, I just didn't know who I was. I couldn't figure out my identity, especially in God, especially in Christ. So I just seeked my identity in other people. I seeked my identity in grades, which, I was getting A's all up until high school. That was when I got my first C and everything, and I just thought I was a failure. I thought I wasn't going to make it in life. So I started putting my identity in all these different things except for God. And on top of that, I did grow up Christian. I'm Nigerian, so I can't say I've met another Nigerian or just another African in general who didn't grow up Christian. So that was just a way of life for me. And from 4th grade all the way to my high school graduation, I went to Christian school as well. So when I wasn't at school, I was at church or I was at home. So of course I just knew about God and that there was a higher power, but having a relationship with him, that wasn't something that I cared to do while I was growing up. So I'm in high school. I hate being different. I hated being different. I wanted to fit in. I was finding my identity in school, in friends who weren't really my friends, trying to find my identity and trying to be in relationships and things like that. And none of it was working out. And I would always feel empty. I would always feel like nothing was working. But then I would see other girls who were popular. I would see other girls who were in relationships. I would see other people who are getting 4.0s and getting into all these colleges, and they seemed happy. And so how is it that when I try to do those things, it just doesn't happen for me? So I had a desire to move out of my hometown and to go to college in a place that was far from home but not too far. So I decided to go to San Diego State. And before I even moved to San Diego, I told myself that, this is great. I'm in a different city now. I'm gonna explore. I'm gonna go to all the beaches. I'm gonna see everything San Diego has to offer, and I'm gonna have so much fun, all these great adventures, you name it. I'm a junior now, and I can say that there are so many places in San Diego that I haven't seen, but I've probably been to about every party that happens every year. When I was a freshman, everyone was just going to parties. Everyone was just doing whatever, the smoking and the drinking. And I felt like I needed to do that too. I was like, okay, this is what college is like. This is what everyone does nowadays. So I felt like I had to do the exact same thing to feel like I mattered, to feel like I was really getting that college experience, And I was doing things that I had no business doing. I was involved with people I had no business being involved with. And I was still having problems with friendships and stuff. So everything that I had felt from when I was a little girl, all the feelings of insecurity, all these different negative emotions, because they were unresolved, they traveled. They became stronger when I got to college, and that feeling of emptiness deepened. I was just living a life that I didn't want to live. But I ignored that feeling because, I'm looking at everyone around me, and everyone's going to parties, everyone's doing things with other people. It's normal to smoke and to drink. Like, it's totally fine. Like, this was what was going on in my head when I tried to rationalize the decisions that I was making. And when I was a freshman, I still didn't have that relationship with God. I just didn't know him. I didn't bother to get to know him. I didn't bother trying to find my identity and to figure out the calling that he has for my life. I just thought that I was gonna live the good life by just going to parties and making those bad decisions. So I think that there's always a moment in our lives where things drastically change. There are moments where we feel so broken down and we don't know where it came from, and it just happens so suddenly. And I had that moment probably beginning like a year ago, in the beginning of this year. I still never felt like I belonged when I was with the friends that I did make in college. I always felt like an outcast. I still stayed quiet because I just felt like, if I say something, no one's gonna care. People are gonna look at me weird. So I just always went with what the majority of my friends wanted to do, even if I wanted to do something different. I felt like I didn't have a sense of self with some of the friends that I made in college, and it had nothing to do with them. But when you don't know who you are, you're gonna be pulled in every direction just so quickly. You're gonna grasp onto any person that makes you feel like somebody. You're gonna grasp to any drug or anything that will make you feel like somebody. And so that was how I think that I behaved with the friendships that I had, because I didn't know who I was. So I was just going with the wind and just going with the flow of things. And I never felt like I really stood up for myself in a lot of situations. Around this time last year, I moved out of my old apartment. It wasn't a good situation for me. It just wasn't good. I hate using the word toxic because it is definitely overused for this year, but my living situation was toxic, and I just got really like sad, and so immediately I decided to move to a new place. It's still the same building, but I live on a different floor now, and I think that was the beginning of God removing me from the situation that I was in, from the people I used to surround myself with, because God will separate you to elevate you. And now, the apartment that I live in now, I only have one other roommate, but we both have our own rooms. And so that separation was the first step to my path to trusting the Lord and to have faith in Him. And so that was how things were for the first few months after that. Moving to a new apartment was great, but it got very lonely. I started to feel like I was forgotten about by people I used to hang out with. I experienced a moment of depression and anxiety. I just didn't know who I was anymore. And I mean, honestly, I never really did know who I was, but because I surrounded myself with certain people and I was doing certain things that I shouldn't have been doing, and God removed me from all of that, because I found my identity in those things and because He removed them from my life, I had no idea who I was anymore. Or so I thought, you know. The identity that I thought I had, I felt that was taken away from me. I ended up, for a time, I ended up losing a really good friend. That was just for a few months though. And so I got extremely depressed. I was crying a lot. I had no idea what to do. I felt really lost and broken. Okay. It's kind of hard to talk about certain things right now, just because like, healing is an ongoing process. Discovering who you are is an ongoing process. You don't just claim to be saved and that's it. It will always be an uphill battle, and you will always be attacked. And so I always thought to make a video like this, I had to be completely healed. I had to be ready 100%. And in reality, you're never 100% ready to take that leap of faith. And so this is all kind of hard for me to talk about, but I know it's something that I need to do. The main reason why I decided to make this video is because I've been talking a lot about friendships and the friends that I used to have, and finding my identity in them, putting them on a pedestal, blah blah blah. But the main reason why I am making this video is because I got hurt by someone that I really cared about, like more than a friend. So, and it's not the first time that I've been hurt by someone that I consider to be more than a friend. It's always been that way for me for as long as I can remember. So I got hurt by them, and whether it was their intention or not, like I don't know. I don't know. But everything became so clear to me after what I had with that person ended. And realizing that things were just toxic and I felt used and lied to. I was really going through heartbreak for a few months. But I really had to sit down with myself and ask myself, how did I get here? Because people will only do what you allow. And the answer, even though I didn't like that answer, God said to me, I don't have, it was from a lack of self-love. It was from a lack of self-love and insecurity and needing to hold on to people in hopes that I will find my identity in those people. And so that's what happened. And I think that the moments where I had been hurt and bullied and felt insecure, those moments could have broken me. They could have brought me down. But in those moments, after those moments, I decided to come to the Lord, because I was finding my identity in all these things that are just always changing. One day someone will like you, the next day they won't. A drug will give you a high and then the high will go away. And so I had to stop finding my identity in things that were changing and to cling and to hold on to the one thing that's consistent, and that's God. So for the past few months, for the past month or so, I have really been committing to my relationship to the Lord. I have just been going to church more often, wanting to go to Bible study. I go to a few of them. I attended life class at the church that I go to. I have just been finding my way back to the Lord and trying to get to know Him and to receive whatever He has called for my life. And so it has definitely been a long semester and an even longer year. I have been broken down, but I've also been built up, and I'm continuing to grow and to allow God to heal my heart and allowing God to help me grow. And it has been life-changing for me, and I think there's a reason why all of this happened when we're about to go into another decade. I feel like all of this had to happen while I was 20, and then I turned 21 in December, which is the last month of the year. I mean, it's all about breaking me down and building me up, and then in the next year I just prosper. And I really do think God orchestrated for so many of this to happen. He, from the beginning, from when I moved out of my old apartment, He orchestrated all of that to remove distractions, to remove people, to separate myself from the crowd, so that I just learned to lean on Him and on Him alone. And I have been doing that, and it's been great to me. I want to read something. I was reading the book of Isaiah this morning. I read chapters 1 through 4 this morning, and I began by reading the introduction. And so the book of Isaiah is named for a great prophet in Jerusalem, and the people of Judah were under attack by Assyria, which was a powerful neighbor next to them. And what Isaiah saw is they weren't in danger just from Assyria. They were in danger because they had a lack of faith in God and they didn't trust him anymore. They began to do things their own way, in a way that did not glorify God. And this book is broken up into 3 sections. And so chapters 1 through 39 is when Isaiah receives a word from the Lord and knows that the people of Jerusalem are in trouble because they aren't trusting in him. And in the second part, it's about how God leaves them crushed and without hope. He takes away everything that they hold dear. He takes away everything that they think makes their identity. And the people are definitely left crushed and without hope. But the thing about God, and one of the things that I love about him so much, is that his grace just never ends. There's always a chance to renew yourself. There's always a chance to start again. And that is what he gives to the people. And so chapters 1 through 3 talk a lot about God giving these people a warning. It's when God tells the people that he will take away everything that they are proud of, everything that they hold dear, because they began to idolize the jewelry that they had. They began to idolize their soldiers, their rulers, everything. And I really think about who I used to be a year ago, and how I put my identity in people, in things, in guys, in everything that wasn't God. And he had to remove me from that. He had to remove those people from my life. And I thought that I was so alone. I thought that I was being punished. I was sad and upset. But the part that sticks out to me the most is in chapter 4, where the title Jerusalem will be restored. And chapter 4 verse 3 reads, "Everyone who is left in Jerusalem, whom God has chosen for survival, will be called holy." And I really felt the Lord speaking to me as I read that verse, because the people are left in chaos. They are left without the things that they hold dear. They are left without a sense of identity, because, I mean, the women had all these jewels that they were proud of, and the people just had all these different types of things. And so when I think about the life that I used to have, when God removed certain friends, when he removed so much from my life, and I had these moments of loneliness and depression, it was very chaotic. And, you know, for anyone else, it would have kept them down probably forever. But the point is not the chaos. The point is surviving it. It's not about the storm. It's about focusing on God, who created that storm and who will bring you out of it. And so I want this to be an encouraging word for someone else. I don't know what you're going through in your life right now, but you've probably had some chaotic times. But you're still here and you survived it. And you survived it because God has called you. And you're meant for so much more. I truly believe that each person watching this is meant for greater. But we get distracted. We get distracted by who's gossiping about us. We get distracted by men and women who say one thing and do another. We get distracted by life and what society says. And that's just the work of the enemy. He will distract you and bring you down so that you may never discover who God has called you to be. And that's definitely how It was in my life for a time. Because I was afraid to speak out, because I was afraid to be myself, I had allowed other people to define me. I had allowed my past to define me. I had allowed the guys that hurt me in the past to define me. I was thinking negatively all the time. And I allowed those moments to bring me down for quite some time. And that's not how I want to live anymore. That's not how I want to live. And everything changes. The people you surround yourself with may change. The opinions of people will change. But God is forever. He is the only thing that is consistent. And so why do we put our identity in everything else but Him? It's why God will take away some of the people that you put your identity in, to show you that those don't matter, that they don't matter. And so I no longer want to be anything less than who God has called me to be. And slowly but surely, God has been blessing me and healing me. And, you know, I know what heartbreak feels like, and I can't believe that there are so many other men and women out there who are going through the exact same thing, and they have no one to talk to. They feel like no one can relate to them. And so God didn't have me go through all of this to find healing and to just keep it to myself. And that's also another thing that I want to touch on. In church this past Sunday, the pastor was saying that God doesn't bless us to be selfish. It is essentially biblical to receive the Holy Spirit and be a blessing for others. And that's all that I want to do. That's all that I want to do at this point, because I know that there are so many other people who are hurting, so many other people who are still holding on to those who bullied them so many years ago. They're still holding on to the pain that they felt when they've been heartbroken and betrayed and abandoned. And I just want to be a light for others because God has been a light for me. I want to help others because God has helped me. And you know, we all got to start somewhere. I have every reason to not make this video. I mean, my camera has gone out so many times already. I feel like I'm not qualified sometimes. I still hold on to my past sometimes. I have so many reasons to not do this, but there is one reason that I can do this that stands out above all the other reasons why I can't, and the answer is God. The reason is God, and because He has called me, He has called you too for something greater. And it's not going to happen if you hold on to what society says about you. It's not going to happen if you allow your past to bring you down for the rest of your life. I'm currently reading this book called The Weight by Devon Franklin. Shout out to my mentor for recommending it to me. It's been great so far. And something that he said in the book is that he doesn't want to meet God at the gates of heaven and have God say to him, "This is all that I wanted to do in your life, but this is what you allowed me to do." And this could be us right now. The Holy Spirit can only do what we allow. And if we're still thinking of reasons why we can't do something, if we're still letting our past define us, we're not going to be able to live up to this potential. We're not going to be able to live up to the calling that God has on our lives. And you know, who I was at the beginning of this decade I was someone who was insecure. I needed to find my identity so desperately in other people. I had this desire to fit in because I hated how unique that I was. And now that we're in 2019, going into 2020, I mean, those feelings aren't gonna go away automatically. I know that the enemy is gonna continue to try to bring me down, and I want to show him that it doesn't work anymore. But more importantly, I want to show God that I am trusting him, and that I'm making him the center of my life and not people. I have always dreamed for years that I would empower young women. I have always had that desire on my heart, and there's a reason for that. I truly do believe that. And so even if this video touches one person, even if it helps 5, 200, 10, however many people, that's not the point. You know, I have to be okay with things not turning out the way that I hoped, because it's not about me. It's about expanding God's kingdom. It's about sharing his glory with other people so that unbelievers may come to him. I want God to work in me so that he can work through me. I just want to be a vessel. That's all that I want right now and forever, honestly. So I just really want to speak to whoever is watching this right now. If you are currently going through some terrible, chaotic time, the fact that you're not dead, means more than what you can possibly imagine. There is love and light inside of you, but if you continue to let other people define you, if you continue to let the world and your past and people who have broken your heart, if you let that become your identity, you're never going to be who God has called you to be. The fact that you have survived is reason enough. The fact that you have survived it's reason enough. That's all that you need to know. And so for this upcoming year, 2020, it only goes up from here, you know? I mean, not completely up. There's gonna be bumps and twists and turns, but what's different is that I'm leaning on the Lord. And I want the same for you too. If you sat through this whole entire video with my mumbling and my tangents and my likes and ums, thank you. I may not know you, but I really do pray for people, just anyone, every single day. I truly do. And so just lean on God, just trust him, and he will never steer you wrong. He will never put you in harm's way. That's it for this video. I really hope I continue to do more, because I touched on a lot of things, but I want to make other videos that focus on each thing, you know, whatever God's plan is.